In this video, we'll see a multi-system cluster deployment of the analysis server. With the move to modern containerized cloud environment, we have seen the demand to support a larger scale of monitoring. Analysis server clustering is one solution to this challenge. We have benchmarked scaling beyond 20,000 application components while keeping every transaction in detail, reaching over 14 million transactions per minute. Results for scale may change between different application environments. We will follow the setup for a clustered architecture according to version 10.16. Please refer to the current documentation for up-to-date instructions. In this architecture, the analysis server is installed as worker processes that are installed on multiple virtual machines. Different worker processes have different roles. We have controller worker, parser worker, one or more indexer worker, a database worker, and a primary UI worker. We'll set these worker processes in a test environment, point agents to our controller, and see the information in the UI. In the interest of time, we already created 5 virtual machines with AppInternals Analysis Server Cluster Architecture Installer. Please make sure you run the Cluster Architecture Installer if you plan on using a clustered environment. Make sure you follow the instructions from the AppInternals configuration and reference guide. In our case, virtual machine 09C is our controller, so we'll log into that machine and initialize the controller. You can run the AppInternals CLI command or log in as admin and enable, and then run the command to initialize the controller. You stay on the controller machine and run the commands to add worker and start the services. Please note that if you just write cluster or cluster and question mark, you get the list of commands you can run. We run the command to add a parser worker, an indexer worker. Note that you can run multiple indexer nodes to increase the capacity of your cluster. We add a database worker and a primary UI worker. We can now start the cluster. You can then verify the cluster status from the command line, as well as accessing the worker's UI. When you log into a worker UI, you get indication to its role, as well as the status of the other workers. The primary UI will have the usual interface for AppInternals. Going back to the documentation, we need to configure the agents and reference the controller node as the analysis server. Now that we're done, let's get some traffic in the system. 11 million transactions for an hour and 15 minutes. That's a nice traffic for a test lab. Hope you run and enjoy this new capability in your own environment.